So in this video, what we're going to go into is what it means to be truly happy and how you could be a much, much happier person. And the angle that we're going to be taking this video is going to be based on this question. Do you understand the difference between simulation and real happiness or real contentment, a deep, abiding happiness that is not dependent on stimulation? So much of what we learn in society is a lie. It is not going to give you true happiness. And if you don't drill down on this, you are going to get duped by the powers that be, and your life is going to be a lot more sucky than it could have been. So that's why we're going to go very, very deep on this video. Now, if you like this video and you like what you learn here, what I'd like you to do is jump onto a free call. And what I've done is I've set up a free call system that can actually help you by asking very, very pointed questions just like this one, really to improve your life. And I set this up specifically because one of the big problems that I've seen is that people watch videos, and I meet people out every day, and they're like, wow, you know, the videos, they're cool. And I'm like, what have you been doing? Are you taking real action? Do you really care about results? And they're like, oh, I'm just kind of watching them. You know, it's like kind of like a podcast. Like, you know, I like you and Joe Rogan. I love Joe Rogan, by the way, but I'm just making the point, right? It's like, it's viewed as this passive thing. And the purpose of getting onto a free call is to make it real, to make it something that you're actively participating in, to talk to somebody else on the phone so that it's not just something that you're kind of dealing with personally, but to get somebody else involved with you so that you can go from point A to point B, from where you are now, wherever that is, in health, wealth, relationship, higher purpose, social skills, a lot of that original gangster content that we've taught, wherever you're stuck now, to the ideal outcome that you want to have, where you're much, much happier, you have real happiness. That is the point of the call. So what I need you to do right now is, you know that you've been watching these videos, you know you're getting value, but if you want to get the real value, you got to click the link. You just got to click the link to get the real value. Set up a free call. We're going to be going very, very deep on that free call. And in the meantime, enjoy the video. Watch the video, take it in. It's meant as a 1-2 punch. Let's get into it. Real happiness. Enjoy. So what I see in society is a lot of people that are hustling on the wrong things. They don't have a clear grasp of what life is all about. Now, we'll talk in a lot more detail about what I think life is all about, but let me just give you a couple quick thoughts on it before you leave here tonight. One is, people will say, Owen, are you happy? I think that question is flawed from the start. No different than if someone says, are you in love with this person, right? The word love. Love could mean love for a brother, love for a sister, love for a friend. It could mean you care a lot. It could be romantic love. It could be lust. I think in Greek, there's something like 7 different words for love. I can't remember, something like that. And whatever it was, but you get the idea. Likewise, I think happiness has that same issue. There is leisure, like yay, woohoo, right? You'd call that childlike abandonment or leisure, right? Like you're riding your bike down a hill and you're like, yay. Likewise, you have stimulation. So say, for example, you're eating a very tasty meal, or you could be hooking up or getting a massage, and that's going to be, in effect, stimulation. Now, let me tell you something. I've had a lot of leisure in my life. I've also had a lot of stimulation, okay? A lot. And this has really cost me, okay? Now, no one's going to cry a river for me when I tell you about some of those experiences. You're going to say, oh, you're lucky that you had those experiences. But it's not true. I thought that happiness was maybe stimulation. I remember one time I had a very lovely significant other, and it was the kind of very lovely significant other I'd hoped to meet for many years. It was like, boom, exactly what I wanted. And we basically didn't leave the bedroom for about 7 months. Okay? There was this gap in my video releases where I literally didn't leave the bedroom for about 7 months. Now, when you hear that, you're thinking, oh, lucky you, isn't that great? I got to be honest with you. I would never change the first 6 weeks. That was a good experience. But there came a point where I honestly felt like a fly in a honey trap. Like it literally felt as though I was like stuck in this trap, like eating the honey and just like, you know, trapped in this honey trap. It was crazy. Because here's what happened. While her and I are having this very powerful physical experience, what was also happening was that I'm just getting a bunch of stimulation. But what do you think was happening to my self-esteem? I wasn't releasing content. I wasn't doing well in my business. I wasn't going to the gym. I just literally would be in bed with her all day. We'd be chatting, joking around, and probably, you know, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a day, other things would happen. And it was great. It was a lot of fun. But you know what? I actually became depressed. And the reason why is because you have, again, leisure, you have stimulation, but you have another thing. And I would call that fulfillment. And that fulfillment I didn't feel at all. I felt no fulfillment from doing that. At first I did, because I kind of hit like a life goal of like meeting like the kind of person I wanted, having the kind of like crazy stimulation I wanted to get. But I was, in effect, I was kind of lied to by all those kind of like hot magazine covers, crazy internet videos that I saw and things I wanted to do. I had that lifestyle and it had no fulfillment. Likewise, one time I was 26 or so and I did my first ever multi-million-dollar product launch for the Blueprint Decoded. So I'm around 26 or whatever it was I was. I worked on this product for 4 years, worked super hard on it, day and night. I launched it, and I got my first $2 million product launch. So I thought maybe I should go take a vacation. So I go take a vacation in Mexico with all my kids. We drive around Mexico for about 6 weeks. Went all over the place. All over the country. I probably visited like 15, 20 cities driving around. Great trip. But what we would do is we'd go find the best restaurant. We'd go, and it'd be like some super fatty restaurant. We'd go find, or carb restaurant, whatever you want to say. We would also find the best hotels. In Mexico, there's like these little castles everywhere. So we'd go stay in the best castle. And what I noticed was, because I wasn't accomplishing anything, I didn't feel fulfilled, literally what would happen was I remember a couple times I didn't get in the castle I wanted, and I felt like I was going to cry. I remember at another point, the mom of my kids, who's normally so joyful, she was trying to get this pair of shoes, and I wanted to negotiate for her. So I told the store clerk, oh, I'm not going to buy these, just as a negotiation point. And she started crying. I remember thinking, that's very weird that this like very fulfilled woman who's very vibrant and happy, maybe the most vibrant, happy woman I've met in my life, and she's crying over a pair of shoes. That's not the woman I know. There's something happening. It's like you're in the, it's like a movie. You know, you're in this like brand new house, but it's haunted. That's what the trip was like. I thought I was getting what I wanted, but I wasn't. What I was getting was not good. It was not good at all. Because what it was a bunch of stimulation. It was cool to see the country of Mexico, but it was mostly stimulation. So ultimately, you want to be building a lifestyle that has definitely some stimulation, but also some leisure, but also actual fulfillment. Now, as I got older, this will sound weird, and I'm not expecting you all to be here yet. My version of happiness at this point is, and this will sound weird, I mean, I'll just tell you, it's like, this is pretty weird stuff. I'm not teaching this to you. Okay, this is like very weird, okay? But my version of happiness at this point would be things like, can I just work 16 hours a day for like a year? I'm just curious if I can. Now, when you hear that, you're probably thinking, that doesn't sound fun at all, right? Because it's not fun, actually, at all. But at a certain point, let's say that you've done many of those Mexico-type trips. You've had many of those locked in the bedroom type experiences. You've been to all the best restaurants all over the world. You've hung out with your like celebrity people you want to hang out with, or famous entrepreneurs you want to hang out with. You've lived in the fat crib. You've done all that. You've had the stimulation. At that point, you've kind of done it. So you start to get curious, like, what's your potential? Like, what is my potential? What could I actually do? You know, my version of like a thrill would be, maybe I did a product launch and I didn't get to sleep. And then because I didn't get to sleep, I'm like exhausted, but I've got a chance to shoot on some weird bridge in some city. And I just storm out on the bridge and make myself do some classic video on like no sleep. It's dumb. It could kill me someday. We could see me go to an early grave because of it. So I probably should stop. But the point is that it's entertaining. It's a thrill. It's a thrill to know you can do it. It's a thrill to see what you're capable of. When I would teach in field, I was just teaching because I'm just curious what I'm capable of. I just wanted to see what I could do. So that's a really big thrill. Another example of enjoyment at an older age is things like, again, very weird, can I stay in a value-giving state for most of the time? Like, you see most people, and they're stuck in this continual loop of satisfying biological drives. Am I hot? Am I cold? Am I aroused? Am I tired? Blah, blah, blah. You see that. And then, so it's either A, they're trying to fulfill biological drives. B, they're trying to fulfill their ego. Right? Do I look cool? Am I not cool? What did this person say about me? Or C, they're just piping back and parroting back social conditioning. I see a lot of that too. They have no real opinion on anything, or most things. They're parroting back social conditioning. Let me ask you a question. A lot of people think, oh, maybe if I die, there's an afterlife. Okay, if you're dead, well, your ego is gone because you don't have biological, or your ego's gone because you don't have to protect a body anymore. Your biological drives are gone, you don't have to protect a body. Social conditioning is gone because ideally you'd have some kind of like infinite knowledge of some type. Better knowledge than, whatever nonsense you got socially conditioned with. So what afterlife would you even go to? Now, I'm not asking you that because I'm trying to, sell you on some dream of some weird afterlife theory. That's day 4. but rather, I'm bringing this up because I want to zero in on what is you. What are you? What are you? At a certain point, when you've been, hypnotized by most of society to run around like a maniac, trying to get the love life you want, trying to get the stimulus you want, trying to get the money you want, you start to think to yourself, man, I feel like I got tricked. Was this for real? Did I just get duped? This wasn't even real life. I want to start living. So that's where things like, how long can I stay present to the moment without a lot of thought? Or how long can I stay in a value-giving state where I'm very expansive? How well can I handle stress and not flip out and still perform by staying in a loose state? How much can I recognize weird serendipitous moments, see the beautiful, amazing adventure that's unfolding in front of me and opportunities, and ride down those trails? Or you look at things like different virtues or different things of, say, integrity. For example, there's been things in the this is a funny one for you. There's been things in the public where I looked pretty dumb, and I made a decision. One decision that I have is I don't talk bad about people. It's a big thing. You ever heard me just talking bad about individuals? And literally, I could just unload on people that annoy me. But I feel like your values get tested in those situations. That's where you're tested. That's a test. Are you going to stick to it or are you going to fail? Maybe I'll fail at some point, right? But are you going to stick to it? Let me ask you a question. If you knew for sure you're going to be a multi-billionaire, would you ever start ripping on somebody on the internet? Well, then if you're ripping on people on the internet, what's that say about your belief about your future? Right? So that's an example, just testing myself like that. Just staying locked in. A really big one for me in recent years is allowing people to leave. In the past, if someone was going to leave, I would beg them to stay. I'd offer them whatever they want on this earth to say. Recently, I'm like, you know what? I'm okay if people leave. It's fine. Let them go. Let them go on their journey. What am I learning there? I'm learning to double down on myself, on me. There was many times in the past, I'd have people I'd work on products with. Maybe we'd work on that product. Maybe we'd make, say, $500K from the product. We'd split that 50-50. That's $250 to me. Their frame of mind was, I just made you $250. That's not true. If I'd spent those same hours on my own products, we would have done 2-3 mil. So why, you didn't make me $250. But back in the day, I'd be like, no, I love you, just whatever it takes, and just make it work. And I said, maybe I should double down on myself. We do this. We get into different relationships, and we're too afraid to lose them, and we don't double down on ourselves. Let me ask you a quick practical question. How many times have you had, say, a crush on someone, and you get so focused on trying to get them that you don't go work on your social skills? How many times have you had a breakup and you're so focused on getting the person back, you didn't go work on your social skills? What if you just replaced that and you just worked on your social skills so you can meet better people? You raise your value. Remember, there's something called opportunity cost. You've got to be auditing yourself and looking at yourself and looking at your opportunity cost. So the major idea I want to leave you with right here is that A, you've probably been sold on a dream of what actual happiness is that's wrong. It is basically meant to fulfill marketers. Okay, it's the social conditioning you've been hit with. Magazine covers, TV shows, movies, is marketing driven. And it's cute that they do that, but at the same time, it's actually a problem. See, here's the thing. I'm a believer in the free market. I am. I know some of you aren't. I am. You don't have to hate me. You can just have a different opinion from me. Now, the reason, by the way, I'm a believer in the free market is that I believe, my view, I'm a bit of a pessimist. I believe there's going to be corruption no matter what. So I'd rather there's a bunch of people who can be in a free market. They can individually be corrupt, but it sort of spreads the corruption around, right? In my view, the solution, just my opinion, we can have a different opinion. It's okay to have a different opinion. So my opinion, okay, just an opinion, okay to have, remember, there was a point in this country where you could have a different opinion, okay, and not hate each other. We could talk about that. So my opinion is that the solution to the corruption of a free market isn't to have some person say, hey, I'll manage everything. I won't let them do all that bad stuff. I'll manage it, right? And then they just take a cut. You know, it's like, and then now you just have one guy or one person who's managing everything and takes a cut. There's going to be corruption either way. I would just rather that it's spread around, okay? Because I'm pro-free market, but I will rip into capitalism better than like the best communists could ever do it. You know, like I could do a 6-hour seminar on like communists would be like, yes, rip apart the free market, right? I'm like, no, I'm still free market. Like, how could you be free market after all these things you said bad about the free market? I'd be like, no, because I could do a 20-hour problem with communism. So, you know, so there's problems in both, right? The law of life, in effect, is go watch a nature documentary or ocean documentary, right? The animals are all trying to kill each other. The average animal has little germs trying to kill it, little parasites trying to kill it. It has large predators trying to kill it. It has weather that could kill it. It has survival. It's like it could get killed in many different ways, right? You know, watch these ocean documentaries, like, you know, Planet Earth in the ocean, Blue Planet, all that. They have it where, like, you know, the fish could get eaten by a big predator. It could get eaten by some little small thing. Everything's trying to kill other stuff. In life, if you're in a free market economy, you're going to have all these different marketers try to mess you up. If you live in communism, you're probably being oppressed either way. So you're going to get hit no matter what direction. You're going to get hit with right-wing social conditioning, left-wing social conditioning. You're getting hit. Just pick your poison, in effect, right? Choose whatever you know, pick your poison of whatever you want hitting you. I just generally believe in spreading around the poison is my general theory, right? Because I feel that at least with free market, we can actually talk about the problems of it and how it's affecting us negatively. Whereas under communism, we can't even talk about it. We're just like, yes, right? We're like, please, yes, you know? So, yeah, so basically what you have, if you look and say a free market, is there, and again, I'm still pro-free market, is that you basically have it to where they've got you, man. They've got you. Like, you don't even understand the level they've got you. The things they're doing to you, they are just psychologically beating you into a pulp. You ever notice how most people, when they walk down the street, they just look spaced out? You ever notice that? Well, maybe put the mirror on yourself. To what extent are you spaced out? Why is this happening to people? Was this really what we were meant to be? You know how they talk about, like, we're a battery in the matrix? What is happening? You put society on a food intake that makes them half dim-witted. Then you put it to where there's street lights everywhere outside so they can't even get a proper sleep. Then you get it to where they're doing very monotonous work. You get it to where the education system is basically just rows. Now, we're in rows here. That's because this is called the free tour, okay? At a proper event, you're up and you're moving. At a free tour, we do it like this because we're doing YouTube videos while we learn. But I promise you, you come to a proper event, it's either in the field or it's an exercise format where we're working together. I don't sit there in rows and talk. If you were going to do that, you do it how Anthony Robbins does, where at least people are jumping around. But the problem is people's blood's not even moving in their brain when they're learning. Then add to the fact, how do you cure disease? With all sorts of proactive building of energy and nutrition. Is that how we do it? Man, I can tell you, I had my kids at Cedars-Sinai Hospital. They've got food that's poisonous right in the hospital. You can't even get health food in that hospital. So, in effect, what you have is that you're getting hit. You're being hit with advertising and all these different images that are being put in front of you about what a good life is. You're grumpy and half out of it and unable to focus because of the food. You don't really know what's happening because of the education system. Oh, and by the way, the best part of all these images that are getting flashed in front of your face are lowering what's called your winner effect. Here's how you know this. For any of you here that have gone out and done a night of approaching, what happens? Your winner effect goes up. As people like you, you do what's called, you feel what's called going into state. When you're in state, you feel more intelligent, you're more optimistic, you're sharper, you're more laterally thinking, all that kind of stuff. You ever see how your brain opens up? That's what your real potential is. You know that, right? That's your actual potential. The way that you are when you're, quote, in state, That's your actual potential. What would happen if you live like that 70, 80% of the time? Would you be able to come up with a better concept for work to make money? Would you be able to maybe feel a little bit more ease and health in your body? Would you be able to enjoy life more, be more happy, look at details? The way modern society hits us is that we think that to be happy, you have to buy stimulation or you have to buy leisure. We're not encouraged to actually take a path of fulfillment. We don't even know what fulfillment is. So I bought into that. I went on the Mexico trip or locked myself in a room, with some amazing person for, months and months. And I was completely unfulfilled. I'm glad I did it because it showed my brain once and for all, that's not good. See, because the problem is, for any of you that haven't done that, you hear about me living in a Hollywood Hills mansion, and you're like, I know I'd be happy if I had that. I'm like, no, you wouldn't. You're like, yeah, easy for you to say. Well, then why do you even have it if it doesn't make you happy? You should live in a cardboard box at that point, is what you'd say, right? So, and I wouldn't blame you for saying it. So, the cool thing for me is because I've gotten those things, I've quickly learned to move past them. That's why I like helping you to work on your business. I like to help you to work on your dating life. I like to help you get those things that you've been marketed. See, a lot of spiritual teachers, they'll tell you, don't worry about that stuff, it's useless. Well, if it's that useless and it's not that big of a deal, why don't we just go get it within like 6 or 12 months, quickly show you it's not that big of a deal, and then we could move past it? Why do we have to transcend the whole thing and not even talk about it? If it's really not that big of a deal, then why can't we just go get it? Let's just go get it, and then you'll have it, and then move past it. And then you can be like me, where you've just got all this stuff you don't need, okay? But I'd rather just get you to that point. That's a better approach to teaching, in my opinion. If you're really a great teacher, you should be able to teach people how to go get those things, if you're a world-class teacher. So I pride myself on that. And by the way, when you do it the right way, you can do it in a way that is very spiritual, because you can show someone how to make money in a way that is fulfilling. You can show somebody how to work on their dating life in a way that is fulfilling, or that allows you to grow, or unlocks different potentials. So there's ways of going about it that are healthy. It doesn't have to be either or. Otherwise, it's called spiritual bypassing. You got to understand, once you've had a couple friends die, you're going to realize very quick how silly the making money thing is, or hooking up or any of that stuff. You'll realize how silly it is. Okay, I don't mean to be morbid. I can pull out Instagram DM threads of friends of mine that are dead. And you'll see them literally being like, oh, this is happening and that's happening. I'm worried about this and I want to do this. They've got all these big dreams. Some of them even believe in the law of attraction. They're like, I think I attracted this super cool thing. And then you'll literally, I hate to say this, but you'll literally see my last text to them will be like, hey man, you okay, bro? Crickets. You know the creepiest thing about this? With Instagram, they've got their story up for 24 hours as it fades away. It's like an echo of the person as they go into the next dimension. Yeah, pretty morbid, right? But I bet you, is there anyone here who's had that happen? You had a friend pass and you have to see their Instagram story? Pretty strange, right? And once you've seen that, it's almost impossible to go back to the previous way you were, where you cared that much about material pursuits or other things. You realize that the only thing you're bringing with you is your spirit. Nothing else is coming. It's like this tiny little eye of a needle, and the only thing going through that is your spirit. So it doesn't really matter what other stuff you get. But here's the thing. We're alive on this earth still for a reason. We're here for a reason. We're here in a physical experience. And there's a lot of growth to our spirit that we can experience through this physical experience. So my thing is learn how to make more money, learn better social skills, learn a better dating life, learn all that stuff, but do it in a way where you're growing in your spirit. And then you're not just spinning your wheels in the mud. Most people I see that are the way they're going about life, it is literally like watching them spin their wheels in the mud. It is a joke. Once again, for you guys that you've had a friend pass, how dumb does it look to you when you see somebody all caught up in just say money when you've had a friend pass? And did your friend have a bunch of dreams, things they wanted, hopes, fears? And what did it amount to? And how would they have lived their life different had they known how short of a time they would have, right? And so that's another challenge is, a great book is called the Bhagavad Gita, okay? And basically what it says, I'm going to butcher this, but basically I read it years ago. You've got this guy called Arjuna, and he has to go to war. I think it's against his cousin or his family or something like that. He's not happy about it. And then, God, who's like Krishna in that book, I'm butchering this, I'm sure, comes to him, and he says, you've got to just go do this. And he's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to war against my family. He says, well, you got to just do it. He says, why? He's like, I think he said it's your dharma or something, right? You just got to do it. Am I getting this right? How am I doing here? Okay, this is the gist of it, right? And the idea of it is that we all have a sort of destiny, and we go through these motions. But in the end, we're not going to keep any of it. So some parts of what we have to go through is kind of weird, it's kind of messed up. I mean, mine has certainly been very, very messed up. And I would anticipate that I'm going to have more messed up things happen. Generally speaking, if you kind of call into action that you want to grow spiritually, a lot of really messed up things will often happen. Because if your true desire is to grow in the physical, which you're going to lose anyway, then weird things happen. But likewise, if you want to grow spiritually, weird things happen. As an example, I had a desire to learn to let go of approval. I was like, I got to let go of approval. I want to let go of approval so bad. Something I wanted so bad. So I remember I wanted so bad, and God answered. And you know what God said? I'm going to rip you a new one for 200 pages in the back half of a Amazon best-selling top seller, and you're going to walk down the street while people give you dirty looks for the next 5 years. And then that actually happened to me. You ever think about that?
Forget it happened.
You forget it happened because the way I carry myself. You might even forget that I'm bald because the way I carry myself. You're like, not that one, buddy. But you know my point, right? It's like you have to transcend it. You want to know another thing? I'm going to suck a bit of the energy out of the room. What is one of the great things that anybody would fear with having a kid? That the kid would have challenges. My firstborn son, Vincent, is completely autistic. I didn't know that I had autism until I saw his symptoms. He has autism a lot more than I did. But I had a very light version of it. They call it Asperger's. Now they just call it light on the autism spectrum. Very light. I was very, very light on that, I believe. Do you know what it's like for a parent to find out their beautiful child, Vincent's so cute. He's so loving and so beautiful. To find out that your child is not going to be able to form proper sentences. I'm going to be real with you. I don't mean to freak you guys out. There was a point a couple months ago where he would just wake up, start screaming, bashing his head on things, screaming bloody murder, and literally just going crazy all day. I didn't know what would happen. I wound up putting him on medication, and it actually mostly fixed it. And it's been great, but that scares me because, as we know, I like to solve things with natural solutions. But my little natural solutions don't work because I can't get him to even eat those things, because he won't. You can pin him down, he won't do it. Right? So, and again, we get so afraid that, now, you guys are probably hearing this, you're like, wow, would you guys have thought of me as a parent of a son with autism, kids screaming all day? Do you think of me like that when you watch me? Do you think of me as someone who's been misrepresented in the media in the most horrifying way possible to mass media? Do you think of me as someone who's been put in the back of a huge selling book as the worst guy ever? Do you guys think of me as somebody who, would be afraid to lose other people in my company and then have it happen and looks really dumb, just look really dumb? You probably don't think of me as that person, right? And there's other things, honestly, that I've been through. Many others that I don't talk about. And I don't talk about it because I'm not a complainer. But there's many, many things that I've been through, okay? And honestly, I'm a pretty happy guy. Let me tell you why. As far as my son Vincent, who, by the way, looks just like me, and when you have a son and you had a hard upbringing, what's your biggest thing you want to do for your son? You want them not to have the upbringing you had. My son will have a much harder challenge than I had because he's defenseless. You understand? So you have this dream that your kid is going to come up and you're going to give them the perfect life, and now you can't do anything. But you want to know something? Let me ask you a question. How many people in this world have autism, Down syndrome, maybe born with HIV? Do we sit there crying about it all day? So just because it's your son, it's just another human being. We're all related anyway. You guys realize we're all so related that the amount that we're not related is so ridiculous that you're so related to each other that when it comes as far as say hooking up with someone, it's almost kind of gross to think about. We're that related to each other. We just say, oh, my brother, my sister, my kid. We're all so related, it's really not a big deal, right? Now, do you sit there crying all day that some kid has Down syndrome, all day crying and being sad? No. Well, then if your child has that, I don't think you should have that attitude. I think That's their journey. That's their soul's journey. Just be there for them, learn from it, and do what you can. Likewise, as far as bad press, let me tell you something. The main way it affects you is how it affects you psychologically. The purpose for a lot of these people when they're doing this is to get you to kill yourself. They're trying to push you into the darkest place possible to just totally destroy you. But you know what? Literally, I just walk through my life oblivious. I have horse blinders on. You could look me up and be like, wow, how could this guy ever leave his house? But if you actually look at my life, I go around, I'm just having fun. I'm enjoying myself. I enjoy my life. You know why? Ironically, let me tell you the truth that you don't know. The truth that you don't know is that the most liberating thing that ever happened to me was bad media, bad book, instructors split up. This is what actually set me free. And it's not just a reframe. Like, I know you're thinking that, okay? It set me free. You know why? Because I look at the average person on the street and what they're afraid of with their reputation, what they're afraid of as far as looking bad, what they're afraid of as far as people criticizing them and not having approval. And I see how afraid of losing approval they are. And I'm like, wow. And they'll talk to me about it as if I should empathize with that. And I'm thinking, do you know who you're talking to? Do you even know who you're speaking to? But I know it's real to them, so I'll talk. I'm not going to, be snooty at them. But I look at it and I go, wow, that's so pathetic. And then I go, I used to be like that. I'm so glad that I'm not like that. I'm so glad that I'm not stuck with that. I can tell you that what it did for me was it made me begin to live life through my own experience more. What most of you are doing, I don't know each of you individually, but what most of you are doing, and I can see it in your eyes, is you're still living through your self-image and you're still living through other people's perception of you. I'm not. I'm living in my own reality. That's why when you see me, I look a bit different. That's also why I'm loose. That's also why I have good lateral thinking. That's also why I'm not afraid to go talk to new people. It's because I'm not hinged by that fear. So understand that. And ideally don't have to go through what I've been through in order to have that same evolution. I want to teach it to you. I want to get you to a point where you're not afraid of things. Now, look at the direction society's going. Society's not trying to liberate people, it's trying to shield them. Everybody's afraid of getting triggered. Well, I've been triggered. Okay? Trigger alert. My life. Okay? And it made me grow up. You can't, the solution to life isn't to hide from the dirt, it's to go in the dirt and build a better immune system. You would be shocked what your potential is as far as your immune system. You have an amazing immune system in your body. You have the ability not to be bothered by negative social feedback. You have the ability to have horrible life experiences happen and to bounce back. I think we have incredible potential to find a very, very powerful happiness. And that's a happiness where you can align your pursuit of material or physical things that you will lose someday, but in a way that has spiritual growth components. Your spirit's growing in the process of that. Let me say another thing. If your spirit is not growing in the process of what you're doing, it is a complete waste of your time. At most, what it's doing is it's showing you what a waste of your time is. But it's a waste of your time. But it can show you things, which is good. So from there, I also believe that we can be fearless. We can be fearless of the worst things happening to us. We can bounce back from almost anything. I also believe that we can have joy independent of circumstance. I don't think that your joy is dependent on circumstance. I think that joy is a state of mind. I think joy is a muscle. I think joy is where you put your focus. I think that your ability to keep your focus on things that give you joy is a muscle. And that muscle gets strengthened through life experience. I also think that you have incredible powers that are untapped. I think generally speaking, the way that we're raised makes it to where it's very, very difficult to know what happiness is or what our potential even is. I think you honestly don't know. I think your potential is far more than you realize. Most of what I do when I do speeches like this, I put myself into a light dream state and I just let it out. Think when you release and pass out the crazy dreams that your mind generates. How much creativity do you have when you have a dream? How much?
Limitless.
Why is that limited to while you're asleep?
Because you're not thinking.
You're not thinking as huge. You're not getting in your own way. So much of what we've done is to stifle that incredible creativity that we have. We have remarkable creativity. Likewise, we can connect to why we're really here. Why does it not matter if my reputation got messed with? Why does it not matter if I've had physical losses? Why does it not matter if my children have a problem? Because we're in basically a living dream anyway. Our spirits come here for whatever reason they come here. That is not something for us to know at this exact moment. My child's condition, that is not for me to know. I have no way to know why he came here like that. First of all, his brother Dylan is one of the most competent people I've ever met in my life. His younger brother Tristan is the same. His kid's like on a mission. It's hilarious. I'll post a video of this. It's hysterical. Okay, he's like this like baby on a mission, just laughs all day. He's on this mission all day. And how do you not know that they're going to go on to make research in autism, or that they're going to go on to provide support for autism, or they're going to go on to figure out what the heck is going on and why it's becoming so common and fighting it? We don't know that. How about the fact that their father was the main teacher in social dynamics, and they may wind up teaching those social dynamics because they learned through their brother? Now, we don't know what's going to happen. And that's my point. We don't know the bigger picture, okay? We don't know that. We don't know that my ex-girlfriend who got mental illness, that her spirit isn't in this room right now. Now, that could just be a way to console yourself, but that also could be the truth. We don't know when our time is. We don't know for my friends who have died. We don't know that they're not part of us now, or that they're here, or where they are. We don't know that either. But there's a bigger picture here going on, and there's a greater potential that can be awakened. And so to me, I just feel that most people are wasting their time. Literally, their time is just being utterly wasted in the biggest way possible. And I see them spinning their wheels, and it looks like mud, just tires spinning in the mud again and again and again. So my purpose is to connect you to what your real purpose is, to what your next steps are here on this earth, to help you with things like your communication, your social awareness. A lot of you also have what's called contractions. I'm going to be talking a lot about that this weekend, contractions. You have very, very strong contractions in you that I can see. I can see it in your pupil. I can see it in your vocal use. I can see it in your body language. I see it all through you. You have insane contractions. We've got to open those up. I also think that you have the ability to present yourself in ways that are very powerful, to market yourself in ways that are powerful. I love marketing because it gives the ability to connect, to create movements, to create income. I love seeing people in their purpose and their passion because you're getting more out of them. I love teaching people about communication skills because it teaches them to reach out to increase their status and to be happier. I love to actually see people get grounded to why they're here. So that's really my mission. And that's what I'll be spending many, many years doing. And what really frightens me is the extent to which a lot of society right now is handing away their freedoms. Freedom is a burden because we say, hey, I want to live in a free society, but it gets scary because you want to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, but you don't know how. You want to know how I know this? Because when I teach social dynamics, people will hear these really inspiring talks, and at the end of it, they're like, so like, what's like a good line? And you know why they say that? What is the real thing they're saying when they say that? What is the real thing they're saying? Really what they're saying is, how do I start? That's what they're saying. Where do I start? They're just like, this sounds cool. Where do I even start? Is really that's the translation of what they're saying. And so in the same way, for a lot of us, yeah, we like the idea of freedom and pulling ourselves up by our bootstrap, but it's like, yeah, that's really good in theory, but where do we even start? How do we even know what to do? Okay, I agree that I should be responsible for myself and not a leech. I believe that I should be emotionally tough and not get triggered. How do I do that? How do I make it where when someone triggers me, I don't flip out and feel like crap for weeks? How do I get it to where I know what my purpose is or what a purpose of mine could be or what's good or what I can monetize? How do I even, like, yeah, I get it. All these cool inner game concepts are really cool. Inner confidence, high self-esteem, all that. But where do I start? Where do I start applying that? How do I figure that out? And that's, I think, a lot of the problem is that, yeah, everybody agrees philosophically that they should pull themselves up by their bootstrap, but they don't know how. And I think that if we don't see people beginning to understand that better, people are just going to sell their freedom out, and you're going to see the light of the world go out. This is a very rare thing we have here. Very rare, this freedom idea. It's super rare. People here, they take it for granted, and they think it's like They don't have to do anything to keep that there. You know, now that speech is gone, they're like, huh, what? I thought that's just how it is. No, it's not. And no one's going to say or do anything. And it's because they're like, well, I don't know. I'm scared. So what I'm saying is that I think that the solution to that is that people need to be able to learn tools to deal with that burden of freedom, to know where to start, to know how to do it, to know how to be self-reliant. Everybody would choose freedom if they know how. But the problem is a lot of us don't even know how. Or even if we do make some progress or make some money, it's something we hate. So that to me is what I want to see starting to get changed and to help people with.